Hello, and welcome back to Cabincast with Oliver and Jamie.
Hello.
We are here to talk about Season 1 of Hilda for the final time. We thought we might do this in one episode when we started. This is the fourth, so there we are. Yeah. Fun bit of news to start this episode. Hilda and the Hall of the Mountain King, or just the Mountain King. I don't know if I told you this already. It's scheduled to be released on December the 30th.
So it's this month.
So this month, not long away. So we will try and do a reaction to that as soon as we find the time to. And yeah, that should be cool. 80 minutes, so it's a little bit longer. But yeah, we'll go with that. However, that is a whole season away in terms of our reviews. But yeah. We last left off with part 3 of the previous kind of arc that started
Oh, the
with
house in the woods.
yes, we had the house in the woods. Which
Were you
started
going to do it, or did we do it? I cannot
we
remember.
did do it. I made a note
Okay.
to stop us from being
So in
confused
the
about this.
the last two.
Yes, so we've got the Nissa and the Black Hound, which are part 1 and part 2 of their own story. I'm not exactly sure why the Ghost, the Storm, and the House in the Woods are all connected because they haven't made up with Frida yet, so it's not like that arc's over.
Right.
So I don't know, but yeah. Yeah, the House in the Woods with the creepy house that tries to keep you in it by giving you everything you want.
It's weird because it's, in some respects, it is creepy, but at the same time, it's the least creepiest way of
Yeah,
keeping people there.
this is very true. Apart from when it made the door disappear.
Yes.
But no, yeah, it's like, well, this is nice.
It's like, you will
Okay.
stay here forever. I was like, oh no, what will I do? He's like, well, whatever you want. Shaggers, Twister, you name it. I was like,
Yeah,
oh.
this is a good point.
If you're a shut-in, that would be the best place to live.
I was gonna say if you were a person who knew no one and didn't ever really want to go outside or do anything ever again, it'd be great. But that's not Hilda. Or Woodman. So they wanted to leave. Which they eventually did.
Like, but wasn't Woodman quite happy there until he realised he couldn't leave?
Yeah, Woodman was very happy there until we realised he could not get out.
I'm sure he was thinking like, oh, just, we get everything we want, make the most of it.
Indeed, indeed. With the Thunderbird as well, and then Alpha showed up too. Oh right, I guess yeah, because at the end of the storm, Hilda got stuck in the woods.
Yes.
So those two do kind of connect as well, I guess. So yeah, but everyone's back home now. Hilda wished to be home and wound up in Trollberg, so she kind of realized that she'd accepted that is her house now. Which was nice.
Yeah, it's
Uh,
a nice little moment. As you say, she wants to be home,
mhm.
and subconsciously, that's what she considers home now.
Indeed, yeah. It's nice. It's a nice way of showing it. So the Nissa, episode 12. We start with the Sparrow Scouts, and Frida is not there. And she's not been at school either. And this is like the 3rd week.
It's peculiar for her.
Which is peculiar. Like, they're like, well, we understand that, maybe she wants some alone time. But, this is badges and stuff.
And school.
And school. Why would she be missing out on that? But yeah, she is. She's not there. And, they have they'll talk about they're gonna have the Sparrow Scout badge award ceremony and invite your parents, celebrate your achievements, all that kind of fun stuff, all the things you've worked towards. And Hilda's like, glad we're in this together, David, because I haven't earned any badges. And David's like, I've earned lots of badges. So, bit awkward for Hilda because she has no badges.
Because she'd not been seeking them out.
She hadn't been seeking them out like Frida was, and I mean, at least David knows how things work, I guess. Whereas Hilda doesn't and didn't really make any attempt to. She just hang around with Frida and David. And that's kind of all. Have you ever been in a position where you're like, oh, thank goodness, I'm glad I'm not the only one. Oh, I am the only one. Oh no.
Uh,
I feel like there must be a situation where I have been at some point, but
oh, I do not doubt that there has been a scenario like that. I just cannot think off the top of my head. I know as a kid, I as a kid, that's the sort of thing that definitely would have happened.
yeah. I
I try not to
remember
remember those days.
fair. I remember when I was doing a choir concert and I'd only the trebles, the boys had only rehearsed certain songs, but there were more songs in the concert. And there was one where all the men stood up, and I stood up because I thought I meant it was an next piece, and it was not. So I sat down again very quickly, and that was quite.
Oh, actually, I just remember at primary school, there's one time where I think they had an an orchestral band in,
Mm-hmm.
and they're asking students to come up and conduct the orchestra,
Aha.
and they pointed in my direction. I was like, "Oh, there's me," and I stood up to go, and the teacher was like, "No, sit down." I was like, "What?" It was like, "No, it was the one behind you." It's like, "Oh, because I wasn't to know that."
Oh no.
But yeah, I had to sit down, and then the other person behind me got to conduct it.
That is very sad. Sad times indeed.
I doubt I would
Um.
have done any better than they did, but
True, but we'll
depending
never
on how
know.
imaginative you are, you could say music came out of that.
Yeah. Uh. But there is the end of year camping trip coming up, which means you can get the coveted camping badge, which Hilda's now like, I wish to have this badge, so that I have a badge. And let's go tell Frida because she won't want to miss out on this. So they go to see Frida, and she seems very happy when she gets to the door. And then it's like, oh, it is you. Clearly waiting for someone else.
And that's when a reoccurring face comes to the door, if I remember correctly.
Indeed. Yeah. So they explain about the trip and go up to her room, which is a mess because, of course, she hasn't even tried to start cleaning her room. Um, and explains that I'm probably going to be busy that weekend, and what's one badge anyway? To which they're like, uh, funny, right?
It,
Joking? And don't you at least want to like hang out with us? But then, yeah, teenager. Not the same Mara as we saw before, who I think is who you're thinking of. With the like
I
the
thought it was the
pigtails.
same one who comes back.
No, it's a different one who has longer blonde hair, but we do see her later.
Ah,
Because they are all the Mara. Because spoilers, they try to make Frida a Mara at the end of the episode. Um, and she finally realizes maybe I've gone too deep. Um, yeah, they have this like quote unquote cool handshake. And yeah, transpires Frida has been hanging out on the streets with Kelly and their friends. Um, and
which she's allowed
she
to do.
she's allowed to do, but probably should go to school as well.
Yeah, the fact that she skip. I'm surprised that her mum let her skip school.
I don't know if she
Or
knows or
uh,
anything.
that would make sense because I cannot see her parents
Yeah,
saying,
no, absolutely not.
"Okay, you don't feel like school."
Yeah. But yeah, she seems kind of remorseful. She doesn't still seem angry at them. But she's like, well, I've got this new friend now. So she goes off with Kelly. Hilda's like, so David, what do you want to do? And David's gone as well. Everything's falling apart. It is a sad time. Um, so yeah, Mum and Hilda go to the shops to buy stuff for camping.
And wasn't there something on the radio, or her mum gets drawn into some work or something?
There is a newspaper.
Ah,
So you were close. There's a newspaper, the Trollberg Daily, with a picture and a quote that says, "Is this the beast?" With a massive black dog on it.
oh
I'm
yes, the dog.
sure that's not a hint towards anything. And yeah,
Yeah.
then they start walking home, and we hear people talking about the beast. And Hilda is looking at a small man sitting on the floor.
Oh, this is the. Oh, wait a second. Wait a second. Is it pronounced? It's like. Is it Nissa?
Yeah,
It is Nissa.
he is a Nissa, specifically Tontu, who we haven't met yet properly.
Yeah, I remembered his name. I couldn't remember what
Yeah,
he
what he
was.
is. Yeah, he's a Nissa, and Joanne explains he'll have been kicked out for good reason because he's a house spirit. Um, he'll have done something very bad and he'll have been banished. And Twig goes over to say hello, but gets scared very quickly because he's Twig, and comes back. And then it's nighttime, where it's raining, much like it is today. And Hilda is packing, and this is where we get the new story about the beast.
Some news at home.
Yeah. And understandably, Joanna is like, it's the best camping trip. Uh, pretty
Because they
pretty
don't
pretty
fully
dainty.
cancel the trip, do
No.
they? They just her mum doesn't want her to go.
Yeah, so it's like all concerning and stuff, and everything. And then it's the next day. And some of the snacks are missing. And they're like, well, where have they gone? Why are they missing? Have you eaten them? Have you eaten them? But Twig does not appear amused. So they're like, well, we'll go buy some more. And Hilda's like, well, if you're going to do that, I'll go check on Frida one last time to make sure. Because she is not one to give up.
She's she's sort of gotten over the initial quarrel and now just wants to make up.
Yeah. She was angry at the time. and quite deservedly, to be fair. But she's like, well, you still care about Frida. Um, so yeah, she's going to try and figure out what's wrong. Frida is watching some TV show with Kelly. Their posture is horrendous. Um, and it's not even a good show, which to Frida makes it just bad. Kelly seems to enjoy watching bad shows, which is fair enough. But yeah. The conversation goes similarly to before. Hilda tries to speak to Frida, but Kelly gets in the way and doesn't let her answer the door. So Hilda leaves and trips over Tontu uh, on the way back home.
I remember that. Although I can't
Uh,
remember how they met, so that would explain it.
yeah. No, she doesn't. I'm just remembering wrong. She sees Tontu sleeping in a tree and goes to say hello, and then he falls out of the tree. And she speaks to Tontu and is basically like, well, why don't you come and live in our house? And he explains that you'll have your own Nissa in your house, and I won't be able to come into your house. That's not how that works. And then explains how the Nissa work, which is pretty cool. Uh, they live in all of the negative space, not the negative space, but all like behind the dressers and under the cupboards and all the spaces that people don't use. Um, and yeah, they are again from Scandinavian literature, Scandinavian folklore. And interestingly, in Finnish, they are called Tontu. So that's where that specific name for him comes from. And they are generally described as being short, having a long white beard, and wearing a conical or knit cap in grey, red, or some other bright colour, and associated with the winter solstice and the Christmas season, and often appear in similar sense to a garden gnome. So I don't know if the like how do they live thing is the same, but that's at least where it comes from. So that's kind of cool.
Yeah, I think there's another series that does something quite literal, similar to
Hmm.
that.
Sure.
Can't think
Yeah, I
of what
think
it
you might be
is,
right.
but
Hmm. Yeah.
no, I'm sure there's been one gone. Oh,
Yeah.
that's. I mean, it's not what I'm thinking of, but what's very common is for cat characters in games to be called Neko,
True.
even though that is just Japanese for
Cat.
cat.
Yeah.
And in Monster Hunter Generations Ultimate, there's a cat called Neko, and in brackets, Japanese for cat, in case you didn't know.
Huh. Interesting. But yeah, Tonto explains that they make their nests in these spaces, and Hilda says, "Well, come to ours. Trust me, I'd know if there was a Nissa living in our house." Which is I mean, Hilda's pretty good at these things, but you might be thinking a bit too highly of yourself there, Hilda. Uh, so they head back to her space, uh, her place, and he shows them, takes them into nowhere space, and there's a whole bunch of stuff down here, all kinds of drawings and pens and things that have just disappeared from the house, um, but also whole furniture, which is a bit
Makes you
more
wonder
impressive.
where that came from.
Yeah. It's like, how did an armchair fall down the back of the sofa? And yeah, it turns out Nissa were once like rewarded for being house spirits, and they were given things, but not so much anymore. And if they're caught doing bad things, they can be banished. However, then the Nissa that do live in the house find Tontu in there, and chase him out and destroy a whole bunch of the stuff, and he gets kicked back out by Joanna. And Hilda tries to explain the situation, but doesn't really pan out.
No.
Yeah. And so, yeah, they keep driving. They keep driving onto the camp because they're going in the evening, apparently, to start, which is, I mean, fair enough, I guess. And Joanna thinks she sees something on the way. But it can't have
Yeah.
been the beast, surely.
No. Yeah. Imagine hearing about a beast and then not seeing it, or not seeing a glimpse of it.
Mm-hmm. Indeed. And yeah, she's a bit concerned. But she asks Raven Leader, and she's like, well, we're inside the town walls, and it's Sparrow Scout private property. Fine. So I'm sure it'll be fine. Meanwhile, Frida is kind of missing out on Sparrow Scout stuff. But, Callie tells her, why'd you do that? We've got to do this other thing. Which is the thing that she was saying she was busy for when the others asked her about it previously. And then, yeah, at the count, they split up into their groups. Got maps. And they are going and looking for things. I don't remember exactly what, whether it's berries or mushrooms or something. But they're looking for things. And Hilda gets distracted and finds the Nissa again. And they spend the evening with him by the fire. And yeah, they realize that they've been with the Nissa really late. And that they have to then sneak back to their tent.
It lasted long.
Yeah, Craig keeps leaving at the moment. We're not sure why. He's been doing it like a week at this point, which is rude. But haven't figured out how to fix it. So yeah, they were with Tontu, and he explains about how he misses his house, and he just wishes he could go back. And then yeah, Raven Leader's looking for them, and they're like, well, we can try and bring you some food. So they go back, and then they sneak out again, and they can't find Tontu, but they do find the Mara. And this is where we see the girl with the massive hair, who we met in that other episode.
Oh, that might have been the point where we go, oh, hang on. That's what
Yeah,
they are.
indeed. And they're talking about making people scared again and all that stuff.
Scary story.
And they like absorb all the ghost fire energy, the life force fear stuff.
Great. It's a good.
Yep. And Frida doesn't seem too sure about what is going on. And Hilda wants to do something. David wants to leave. There's a rustling in the bushes, and they both get knocked down and interrupt the ceremony because the Black Hound is coming. And they, kind of plead to Frida to come back to them because this isn't really what she's like. But she seems a bit too, yeah, stuck to really try and get out of it at this point. But David, appeals to her again and explains about how she's his best friend and when he was scared, she would always be there to help him, but he's not scared now. And it's actually a really great speech and a really great moment for David. But they're all scared not because of him, but because the actual Black Hound has now showed up. which is, concerning to say the least, because it's big.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure the episode ends as they're being chased by it.
It does. It is a cliffhanger, as they call them,
Oh, I don't know.
and yeah,
So from that, I guess we
we move
are
on to
we
the
talking
final
about part
episode.
2 in this one, or will
We
we gonna?
are.
We
We are
are.
going to talk about part 2 at decent speed. There's a black hound. It is huge and it is very scary. Because it is huge. The Mara all run away, and so does everyone else, which is understandable because it's a giant dog. They get back to camp, manage to escape it for now, and explain to Raven Leader, who apparently doesn't need sleep, that it's there. And thankfully, she does do the smart thing and evacuates the camp. They have like a little klaxon, and they break camp in a calm and orderly fashion. Ish. They have some trouble fitting their sleeping bags back into the bags because that's how sleeping bags are designed. Everyone knows this. Especially David. But thankfully, Frida's there to help. But then David doesn't want help. Um, but Frida and David finally get a chance here to make up, and agree that David was right when she needed calling out before on her stuff, and that she's been acting a bit stupid. And it's a nice moment for them. Hilda tries to leave, but realizes that Tonto is still out there, so she tries to go and find him, but she cannot because the Sparrow Scout leader is like, nope, she can. Responsible adult.
Yes.
Good job. And yeah, Frida gets a lift home because her parents do not know that she is there. Whoops.
Whoopsie daisy.
And yeah, they're on the way back, and Joanna's talking about how, oh well, it's a shame we didn't get this badge, but you've got plenty of other badges, right? Um, and Hilda has to write on a piece of paper to be like, I've not done any other badges. Uh, but then she draws the Nissa on a piece of paper who was thrown out of the room by mistake, and that they need to go and look for him. And yeah, they go off an adventure to do Sparrow Scouts things, which is collecting old unwanted junk. We see some characters who we will see again in the second season, and then we meet Kelly. Um, who's like, "Oh, great, you're not dead." And her mum drops out a bunch of stuff, including a stuffed toy, which she clearly does not want to get rid of. She's like, "Wait, no, I'm too cool. I don't need that." But Frida gives it back to her.
Yeah, I can't remember what she said. Something about like.
It's worth holding on to your real friends.
Oh yeah, she makes a sort of an emotion. Well, not an emotion, but she almost makes a statement.
Yeah, it's like a bit of a dig, but also like an honest fact.
Yeah, sort of Hilda doing what she does best.
Yeah. And Hilda's still on the lookout for Tontu whilst they're doing this like a scrap drive thing. And she finally finds him.
Where does she
Except not.
find him
It's
again?
not him.
Or is it different? Oh no, it was outside some random person's home, and they're like, "Oh, we're all getting chucked out."
Yeah, he's a different Tontu because they are all Tontu. Because Tontu just means Nissa, again, as it turns out. And yeah, it turns out they're all being banished because Nissas don't enjoy each other's company, so they've not spoken to each other. So no one knows why. And they all look very different. One of them does look like a garden gnome. One of them just looks like all hair. One of them looks like a penguin. And each of them are sure the rest of them are lying. But yeah. It's late at night again. It's dark. And Hilda's still concerned because her mum's talking about how proud of her and everything she is. And she's like, but I haven't got any badges. And it's night, and they can hear barking and howling. And her mum's off to work, and she's excited about the general consensus. His mum's excited about the Scout thing, and Hilda is concerned because she is like, well, I've not got any badges. And then she goes to the house. She finds the house that Tonti was talking about, and finds that the house has been completely destroyed, and so banishes him from the house, and then finds him in the trash can.
What was he doing in the trash can?
He wanted to be back in the house, and he's not allowed back in the house, so he got as close as possible, which is the trash can, I suppose. And yeah, he explains that something else trashed the house, not him. And also says all the others are probably lying. And then it's the ceremony. Everyone gets their badges. And Hilda's about to have her badges, and then Tontu falls in, and the dog. The dog is here.
Panic ensues.
And it can follow them. Also, Hilda finds Frida's book, or the book that the ghost liked that Frida has, and then manages to give it to Frida. And they finally get back to the right house, and the new Nissa, who lives in this house, prepares to protect the house, and then realizes it's Jellybean, which is apparently their dog that escaped and ran away when he was a puppy.
The big dog ended up being, or the big shadowy beast ended up being.
Yeah.
Jellybean.
Yeah. And it turns out that he had eaten 3 people, who he then spits back out. Luckily, they were not dead, so that's a relief.
Who were they?
I have no idea who they were, but they're the people in the newspaper who were missing.
Uh,
And yeah, it turns out that he had been charging all around the city because he was a puppy, knew how to use the vents thingies as a puppy, and so still does now, except now he's huge, and he was battling through the houses and taking everything with him, including knocking the Nissas out of the houses and making everyone think it was the Nissas when it was in fact him. So it all makes sense. But the authorities still want the dog. But luckily they drive towards the gate. Then the dog is on the front of the car because he jumps in. And it's a bit of a mess. They almost crash into the wall. Luckily they go through nowhere space to go into nowhere space with the whole car and everything. But they go through the space that no Nissa's supposed to go. But luckily they managed it.
whatever.
However, indeed, the other Nissa and Jellybean are nowhere to be seen. We do not know.
Oh, they all
have
got
gone.
separated.
No. Tontu, Joanna, and Hilda are okay. but the other two are nowhere to be seen. They have disappeared. And now there's a new Nissa, and he runs around and makes people hot chocolate and all that kind of stuff. Which is
Yeah,
really
he's a
cool.
reoccurring character in the second
He
series.
is.
Humorous.
Indeed. Which is the end. Yeah. Alpha's been writing a report. Frida and David come round. We get a shot panning away into the sky in which we see the librarian very briefly, which I'd never noticed before. In like the forest, back where the destroyed Hilda original house is, and Woodman. And it's Jellybean and Anissa, and they ask what happened there, and Woodman says, "This was once a cozy little house. The girl who lived here befriended a giant. I guess she learned her lesson. Not likely. Odds are she'd do it again." And that's the end of the first season.
There we go.
There we go. Yeah. Even the big scary bad dog was actually just a puppy that was looking for its house.
Which is a pretty typical, not typical, but it's a sort of twist that you would expect from Hilda.
Exactly. Unlike the twist at the end of season 2, which we did not see coming.
No, that was... Because remind me, were you blind when we watched
I
the
had
season?
seen it and
But
forgotten.
you'd forgotten.
I was like, oh yeah, it's really nice. I said, what? Excuse me? What just happened?
Yeah, that was kind of a...
Yeah. I was like, what the... No, don't end moment. But, yeah. But that's season 1. We'll talk about that in the future at some point. Until then, that was Hilda season 1. It's a lot of fun. We'd highly recommend it. But if you listen to all of this, then I'd hope you already have. It's got some great characters, some great stories. It's a great kind of world. It's just really cozy. Yeah. Any final thoughts from you, Jamie?
No, I don't believe I have.
Okay, then we'll leave this one here. Thank you for listening. We'll see you next time. Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Cabincast. For more episodes, go to www.cabincast.podbean.com or use the Podbean app. You can now also find us on iTunes and Pocket Casts under Cabincast and on YouTube. The uploads here are quite behind. Finally, you can find us on Facebook at www.facebook.com/Cabincast. Thank you for listening, and we'll see you next time.